Hi there. So, in the last video, we talked about unhealthy carbs and healthy carbs. Do you remember what unhealthy carbs are? What about healthy carbs? Remember, we said unhealthy carbs would eventually become so much sugar inside your body, while the healthy carbs are the ones that really help you to grow. So, I think you should watch this week how much of unhealthy carbs you take, because many times they come in our snack. So that will be what we learned in the last video. But for today, we would be talking about proteins. So what are proteins? Because we have been talking about food and humans. We said humans need food to grow, animals also need food to grow. And that's why we have been talking about the different kind of food groups. Just to remind us, let's quickly look at what the kinds of food groups are. We have carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, water, and fibers. And today we are on protein. So what exactly are proteins? They're nutrients that helps us rebuild our body. We need them to help our muscles grow strong, heal cuts and wounds. Examples of proteins are fish, eggs, beans, peas, etc., etc. So, I mean, when we talk about proteins, these are important nutrients that needs to be in our daily diets. And why? It's because they help our muscles to grow strong. They also help to heal our cuts and wounds. So when we have so much protein in us, it accelerates our growth. It helps us grow faster, it helps us become sharper, and it helps our bodies to heal better. So let's dive in and see what we have here. So that will be that about proteins. Now, the next that we would want to know about will be fats. And what are fats basically for? They're for warmth and protection. They're nutrients. They give us energy and they keep us warm. So when we have enough of fats in our bodies, it helps to keep our body warm and it also helps to give us energy. So why do we need them? Why do we need carbs? We said we need carbs because they give us energy. They also help us to grow. Why do we need proteins? Proteins help our bodies to heal faster when we have cuts and wounds, and it also helps to build our muscles. What about fats? Why actually do we need them? Because they help us to protect our organs. They also store energy for us, and they also help us to stay warm. So basically, for warmth and protection is why we need fats. So what examples of these fats? You have butter, you have cheese, you have oils, nuts, and avocado, just like our image here. And all these things are important for us because they help us grow well and they help us grow better. So, what else do we need to know? So, we've talked about carbs, we've talked about proteins, we've talked about fats. Now, we also need to talk about healthy and unhealthy fats. Just like we have carbs, we said we have unhealthy carbs and we have healthy carbs. Do you still remember what carbs are? Don't forget, we said carbs are carbohydrate. It's just the short form. It could be carbohydrate, it could be carbs. They are one and the same. So now we're talking about fats. We have healthy fats. We also have unhealthy fats. So what are healthy fats? Healthy fats are healthy oils and nuts. These are healthy fats because they help us to grow better. But when we talk about unhealthy fats, that's when we're talking about too much of fried things. Maybe fried chicken, you like fried chicken, right? But fried chicken, maybe fried donuts, fried burgers, fries. When you always take in fried foods, many of them come in fast foods. When you're always taking all these fried foods, they shouldn't be too much Because when they become too much, they begin to reduce the way our body works. And it could complicate things for us in our bodies later in the future. So you don't want to take unhealthy fats. You just want to take healthy fats, good oils and nuts so you could glow, you could stay healthy, and you have more energy to do activities. But the more you take too much of fried things, it begins to reduce our strength or energy, and ultimately you don't really feel fine anymore. So stay with healthy fats and do not stay with unhealthy fats. Now we move on to the next. Don't forget in our food groups, we also have vitamins and minerals. And we call this category of food, we call them helper foods. Now, why do we call them helper foods? Because they help to do tiny, tiny things in our body. The nutrients that helps to keep our body working well. So we need these nutrients. They are very, very important. And why is that? Because they help us to stay healthy, they fight sicknesses, they give us strong teeth and bones for us to do the kind of works that we need to do. We need to think because of school, we need to do chores at home. So we need vitamins a whole lot to stay healthy, to stay fresh, to stay strong, and to also be able to fight any kind of sickness. What are examples? Examples of vitamins are fruits, vegetables, milk, fish, also eggs too. They also have different kind of vitamins in them that's very important for us to also take. So when you take these vitamins, for instance, when you take a lot of carrots, it helps us with our eyes. Carrots helps us with our eyes. Orange helps us with vitamin C. Why carrots helps us with vitamin A. So you need all these things so that we are able to grow well and we're able to fight sicknesses. Maybe if you have a friend that, sometimes regularly falls ill, something you could always help them are fruits. Because fruits contain a lot of vitamins that we need as humans. And we need these vitamins in them so that we could grow. Now, if you look at this chart here, you're going to see different kind of foods that represents different kind of vitamins. We have vitamin A, B1, B2, B5, B6, B7, B9, B12, K, E, C, and all of that. So we can see the different foods and the different kind of vitamins that they all contain. So taking fruits are very vital. Taking vegetables are also very important if we are going to stay healthy and sickness free. And we also have fibers. Fibers. Now, fibers, just like we call it the digestive helper, what does it do? Fiber is a nutrient that helps food move through our tummies. Sometimes when you don't eat well or when you don't have the right combination of food, you just end up complaining, oh, I have some aches in my tummy, and you might maybe have to constantly use the toilet or the restroom or the loo. You have to constantly use it and use it and use it because there's probably maybe what you ate or what we took in did not properly go into our body system. So what do fibers do? Fibers prevent constipation, it keeps our stomach healthy. We need fibers so that our food can digest properly. We need to take in food and we need those foods to digest properly in our bodies, and that is why we need fibers. So fibers are important so that they can help digestion in our bodies. Example of fibers include wholemeal bread, brown rice, fruits, also vegetables and beans. So just like if you look at the image here, it's an image of different kind of fruits that are rich in fiber. Now, we also have this one is very, very important. Water. And we call it the thirst quencher. No matter how many kind of soft drinks you take or how many kind of delicious meals you eat, eventually you still get thirsty. It's Water is not really food, but it is important for life. You need water every single day. Every single day, you need to take water. It helps to quench your thirst. So water is very important because it helps to keep us cool. It helps our digestion, and water is really what carries the nutrients around in our bodies. So something you should do for yourself this week is you should drink more water than last week. And just like we said, drink 6 to 8 cups of water every day. So from today, you can start counting. How many cups of water have you had today? Is it up to 6? Is it up to 8? If not, you should take more. So what are the sources that we will find water from? We will find water from the water that we have available around. We could also find milk, juice, also watery fruits. They are very good to take in. Watery fruits like your cucumber and your melons, they're very important because they contain a lot of water. So you should take those fruits, you should drink water because why? It keeps us cool. For instance, if you're in the summer, you should take a whole lot of water. Why? Because it could be really dehydrating because of the sun. So we need water. Why? Because it keeps us cool, it helps digestion, it helps to carry nutrients through our bodies. So don't forget, you need to take about 6 to 8 cups of water every day. Now, when we put all these meals together, so far we've talked about carbs, we've talked about proteins, we've talked about fats, we've talked about vitamins, we've talked about water, we've talked about fibers. So when we put all of those food groups together, that is what we call a balanced diet. So everyone should actually take a balanced diet. So you don't want to take too much of carbs, you don't want to take too much of proteins, you don't want to take too much of fibers, you don't want to take too much of vitamins, minerals and all of that. You want to take a combination of all of them because that's how we're going to get the wholeness of everything that we need to get. So what's a balanced diet? A balanced diet is a meal that contains all the classes of food, all the food groups. A meal that contains all the food groups, that is what we call a balanced diet. And that's what every plant needs. So that's what every animal needs. Every human, animals, they need balanced diet in order to grow well. Now, we also know plants to make food, but when it comes to animals, how do animals actually get their food? Because remember, we said that animals need food, but how do they actually get those food? Unlike plants, plants are able to make their own food through photosynthesis. From the sunlight, they're able to make their own food. But how do animals get their own food? They don't cook their own food, except humans, right? But animals eat plants and other animals to get their own food. Plants make their own food, while animals eat plants or other animals to get their own food. And like this is like a structure, a chart of a food chain of how the animals work. Now we have different kind of animals based on the kind of food they eat. We have the herbivores, we have the carnivores, we have the omnivores. The herbivores are the kind of animals that just eat plants alone, while the carnivores are the kind of animals that eat other animals, which will involve your lion, your eagle, they eat other animals. Why the omnivores are animals that eat both plants and animals. An example is humans. You eat chicken, right? You also take vegetables. So that's like plants, that's also animals. Also bears. Bears also eat smaller animals. And you also don't want to go into the woods where you have dangerous bears, and they also eat plants. So we have animals based on the kind of food they eat, herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. So we're gonna stop here and I will see you on the next video.